Good afternoon, Monarchs. I'm Dr. Barry Gribbins, president of LA Valley College. It's a pleasure to join you today. This is a special town hall as we're joined by Dr. Francisco Rodriguez, Chancellor of the LA District. As Chancellor, he oversees 9 colleges. That includes City, East, Harbor, Mission, Pierce, Southwest, Trade, West, and of course, us here at Valley College, as well as district operations, including IT, human resources, facilities, and planning. In just a few minutes, Chancellor Rodriguez will share some comments. After that, I'll provide a few updates for you, and there'll be an opportunity to ask some questions of either the Chancellor or myself. But please type in questions that you might have at any time in the chat. And with that, let me turn it over to Chancellor Rodriguez. Bienvenidos, welcome.
Gracias, President Gribbins, and to all the monarchs who are visiting and listening to us. We want to start this. Good afternoon to all of you. I'm happy to be joined by Maria Veloz. She's our Chief of Staff here at the LA Community College District and assists me in a whole variety of projects, especially those that are focused in on students and student success. What I'd like to do just in a few minutes that I have, because I do want to leave the bulk of time to any questions that you might have, is to first of all check in with you all. Check in from the standpoint of ensuring that you're healthy and that you are safe. The pandemic environment that we find ourselves in is indeed disturbing, it's unsettling, and indeed something that we're all navigating together. So I believe that the purpose of these sorts of forums and town halls, and I appreciate President having these consistently so we can hear your voice, get a sense of what is most useful to you by way of navigating this pandemic, and then translating that to the larger student body and then also to other colleges throughout our district. So first and foremost, I wanted to extend my sincere plea to remain vigilant during this pandemic. You've seen us here in Los Angeles. We are in the hotbed of the pandemic. Well over 40% of all cases in the state of California are deriving in Los Angeles County, our county alone, and over 50% of the deaths that emerge in California emerge from our county alone. So this is a wicked, wicked disease. All the health and safety guidelines that you have now been trained to do, actually they do work. The physical distancing, the masking, if you will, making sure that you're taking care of your symptoms and being mindful, getting tested, all those really do count. So please remain vigilant. Second message that I wanted to mention, and this is that during this pandemic, I think it's super important, always, but especially now, to not lose sight of what your North Star is. Many have come to Valley College with a dream, an intuition, a strength, an area that you want to develop, a path that you want to travel, a dream that you want to realize. And as your chancellor, as your president, I think we want to extend this notion of that. Don't let this environment that we find ourselves in, which is highly unusual and hopefully temporary for a shorter period of time, just a little more. Do not let it dissuade you from what your North Star is. It's really easy to get dissuaded, get thrown off track, to say, you know what, I'm going to put off this goal, this activity, this circumstance is too great for me to manage. And I'm going to somehow give myself an excuse, a legitimate excuse perhaps, to say, not now. I'm going to step off the education train. I'm going to stop off and maybe not go to school next semester, the following semester. I have other things to tend to. I'm going to underscore to stay on the course. Stay on your pathway. Continue to be absolutely nourished, inspired by your dream, by your goal, if you will, or set of goals to improve your life. Let me share with you one thing, pandemic or no pandemic. The most powerful determinant of your success are two things. One is education. Education is absolutely the most powerful predictor of social and economic mobility. So you have to sustain and stay on the education path. Take it from a first generation college-bound student, English language learner, grew up in a working class household from immigrant factory workers. Education is the passport to a better life and a more productive life. So stay on the course. The other thing I want to mention why this becomes important is the sort of mindset, a fierce mindset more than anything else. And this is what I share with the 2020 graduates. A fierce mindset of can do can overcome almost anything. So as you start taking classes, and we've noticed that this fall, our head count is down and the number of units the students are taking is down. So you're going to see a real strong push over the next several weeks. And I'd love to hear your ideas about it. I'm not trying to mitigate or oversee the kinds of real challenges that this pandemic has taken and has ravaged families. I'm not trying to make that little, but indeed, can we, stay on the path, have a fierce mindset, keep absolutely always conditioned to what your North Star is, and navigate the obstacles that are in front of you. And I assure you that you will be the better for it in the long run. So this is a wonderful time to connect. I wish I was with you, as the president could testify. I love being with people and with students, and I look for the opportunity where we can get into the Monarch Hall or into one of your other larger halls and just kind of connect, sit down, chat a little bit more. But I'll stop there, Dr. Gribbins, and then happy to respond to any questions. Stay the course.
Thank you, Chancellor. And let me just provide a few updates for all the monarchs out there. The classes that were started in the spring but couldn't complete restarted a couple of weeks ago. They're going really well. There was only a few of them, but it helped us make sure that we can work out any of the details that we had to, so that everything would go well for the fall semester. And with the fall semester, it's only 3 weeks away. So we are gearing up. Almost all of the classes will be online. They'll continue to be online. That's, of course, the best way we can help keep the campus community safe. There are just a few classes, though, that cannot be done online and that are part of essential infrastructure training. So those classes are in the schedule and are open for registration now, in-person instruction. That includes nursing, respiratory therapists, CNC and engineering classes, and EMT classes. So it's a relatively small group of classes, but nonetheless, they're absolutely essential. Again, registration's open now, and the fall semester starts in just 3 weeks. The next update relates to the CARES support. We are working to implement some additional support for students for the fall semester that was funded from the CARES Act. That includes some emergency grants for students, Chromebooks, and other technology support. For example, helping students who don't have access to the internet. We're working hard to get that application up and running. I was hoping that it would be up as of today, but it's not quite up and running yet. As soon as it is, ideally it'll be up and running this week. We'll send all students an email and text and let them know exactly how to apply for the support. I had mentioned in a previous town hall that we had ordered 1,800 Chromebooks. The Chromebooks, there was a problem with the shipment that was coming from China. And right now there's efforts to move to a plan B, but we're going to be working as hard as we can to get something in place for students well before the start of the semester. The last update I have for you is on contacting us. We know that it's been taking students way too long and it's been way too cumbersome to be able to connect with the college. And so we've implemented 2 new ways for you to contact us. Starting tomorrow morning, we have an open Zoom line, so any student can call into Zoom or to dial in through video conferencing and connect with a live person anytime during the day. So the one number will work all day long, and that'll be Monday through Friday. In addition to that, we have a new help desk email system that's going into place. So it'll be one email address for you to send any questions that you might have. And then that email will get forwarded on to whichever department is best able to help you and respond to the issues. Again, both of those will be available starting tomorrow morning. And go to the LA Valley College homepage for some additional information and the details on how to access that. And then within 2 weeks, we'll have a third way of contacting us get in place, and that's a help desk system where you can call it. We hope to have that implemented, as I said, in about 2 weeks, and we'll keep information about contacting us through the help desk up on the website. With that, let me go to the questions and see what questions you all might have. The first one is from Tavi. Tavi, you asked if we are still going to allow EWs for COVID-related drops in summer courses. And yes, you can get an EW if you have to drop because of any COVID-19 related issue. You just will send in a petition to admissions and records, and they'll process it and grant the EWs. Next, there's a question from Blade Breaker. Let me scroll back up here. Will we be receiving gift cards for the cafeteria or student bookstore from the first year experience or get something else? So great question. With the Valley Promise, all students, of course, get 2 years of free college tuition. In addition to that, all Promise students are going to receive a Chromebook. And the Chromebooks are already on hand, so we're able to provide those to all new students who are part of Valley Promise. In addition to that, if you need any help with food or with housing, on our website with the Valley COVID-19 related updates, you'll be able to find out more information about different resources that are available to you, either for food issues or for housing issues. Let me see what else we have here. There's a question from Julia about first-year students receiving student IDs. Currently, students are not able to come into campus to receive student IDs, with just a couple of exceptions. For nursing students and respiratory therapist students, they're required to have a student ID to access their clinical sites. So we are making arrangements for students and programs that are required to have IDs to obtain theirs. But other students currently are not able to obtain their IDs. And let me see, there's a question from Naira on when will certificates be going out. Usually admissions and records completes the process of degree validation by October, and the transcripts and degrees, the certificates and degrees get mailed out by October. So typically it takes about another month or so for that to be completed. Another question from Naira on the nursing applications for the spring 2021 semester. Nursing applications and the deadlines are on our website. If you go to the nursing department, it has all of the details, including the timelines for their applications. Johnny posted a question about when the bookstore will be updated to reflect the fall 2020 books required. And Johnny will check on that today and post an update on that. In addition, you can always call the bookstore and they'll be able to help you. But we'll check on their website today. There's a question about The Office of Disabilities, I think that's for students and communications with teachers. We'll check on that as well today. I'll check with the director of that program. Dominique asked a question about how to join the Valley Promise. On our website, on the homepage, there's information at the Valley Promise. And the short answer is you can call in tomorrow morning on the Zoom to the Welcome Center, and they'll walk you through the whole process. But in addition to that, on the homepage, there's some more detailed information about the steps that students can go through for the Valley Promise.
Dr. Gribbins, may I make a comment on that?
Yes, Chancellor, please.
Yes, if you know of students or you're a student yourself who is first time enrolling at Valley College for the first time, that is the criteria related to who is eligible for the Valley Promise, as well as the other Los Angeles Promise programs. First time, full time, and it's an absolute wonderful program. We're in our 4th year now, and we have found that students who go through the summer bridge, who take advantage of all the resources, tutoring, counseling, and academic enrichment activities that go on throughout the academic year, the mentoring that goes on, the peer support that occurs, that those students do far better than the students who don't have the Valley Promise program with them in terms of fall to spring persistence, fall to fall persistence, retention, GPA, and your path is accelerated to college level English and college level math. So Dominique, thank you for asking that question and nudging everyone that you know, if they're enrolling for the first time, enroll full time and take full advantage of the Valley Promise activities. It's a program that works.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chancellor. The next question is, as a high school student that's graduating in December 2020, are they able to apply for the Promise? And we'll check on the details for that. I believe you can, but the first step would be to contact the Welcome Center, and they'll be able to walk you through the process. Michelle asked about using grant money to pay for books. The emergency grants that we will be awarding are for any expense. So any expense that somebody has because of a hardship related to COVID-19, they'll be able to apply that money for it. And then there'll be the 2 other options as well, including support for Chromebooks. That might actually be getting a Chromebook directly from the college, or getting financial support for a Chromebook, depending on how quickly logistics can secure the Chromebooks for students. And lastly, for students who need help with internet connections or other technology related needs, that will be available as well. There's a question about CARES Act eligibility for students who are just taking a single class. Yes, the CARES Act will not be limited to full-time students. Of course, we hope that students take more of a full load. We know students complete more quickly and are more likely to obtain their degree when they're full-time. But we also recognize in these times especially, it's oftentimes difficult, and there's many life situations that determine how many classes you can take. And the CARES Act funding, we want to make sure goes out to all students who need it, including those who are only able to take 1 class at this time. Jason asked a question about the spring semester. Chancellor, would you like to make some comments, or should I jump in?
No, I'd love to make some comments. Thank you, Jason, for your question. In October is when the enrollment period occurs for the spring 2021 semester. So we will have had to make a firm decision by then. It is an all district decision. In other words, all the colleges will comply with the same standards. At this point that we've not made a decision on the spring semester, health and safety will dictate as to whether we can return and return safely. And if so, at what scale we can return. So I would expect, Jason, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, as we begin our consultation with our faculty, with our presidents, our other college administrators, we'll have a firm answer. But at this point, the fall semester is online. We'll be returning for a very small number of classes that can't be done remotely because of standards and accreditation matters and of other kinds of certifications that just need a face-to-face. And you bet that we will do that safely. So a call has not yet been made on spring, but certainly in September, well before the enrollment period, we'll have that firmed up.
Thank you, Chancellor. And Dro asks, what platform should be used to attend the first day of classes for the fall semester? For example, for human anatomy, will the professor inform the class about the software and attending live class? Yes, all instructors will let the students know how they're to connect with the class. It's typically Zoom, but the instructor will provide additional details. You can always email and reach out to the instructor to find out more information over the next 3 weeks, or logging into Canvas. Almost certainly, most faculty use Canvas to post information for students. But email, in case you don't receive anything from the instructor, email is a great way to go as well. And then if you still haven't heard from the instructor by the first day of classes, you can always contact the college and we can help make sure that there's not a hiccup in the communication link and you get into the class smoothly. A question from Alethea about kinesiology majors being exempt for the student IDs. Althea, I haven't heard of an exemption for kinesiology majors, but I'll check into that as well. There's a question about students taking classes while they're in 10th grade in high school. Yes, students can take classes at any grade level while you're in high school. There's on the website some information about becoming a dual enrolled student. In short, the steps are that the student will get consent from both the high school principal as well as parents. And then our admissions and records staff will help walk students through the process. In the past, we've offered a lot of classes actually at the high schools. In the spring semester, I think it was about 63 classes that were actually offered at high schools. Given that all the local high schools are currently 100% online, as well as Valley College, almost all of our classes, it's actually easier to become a dual enrolled student this semester. Some classes, though, do meet at a specific time, and you'll want to make sure that it doesn't conflict with your high school schedule. But there's hundreds of classes that are available to high school students that want to become a dual enrolled student. And there's no fees for dual enrolled students. So there's another big plus.
Dr. Gribbins, you want to say a word or two about synchronous versus asynchronous delivery?
Yeah. So our classes that are offered online can be offered in a couple of different ways. They can be offered asynchronously, so students can log in at any time. There's no live interaction between students and the instructor, but they log in at any time to receive content, maybe watch videos or to download readings, and they submit their students submit their assignments at any time prior to the deadline. Another way that classes are delivered is that they have a set meetings time so that there can be a live interaction between the instructor and students. And then there's a third option, which is a hybrid, where there is an opportunity for a live interaction, but students don't have to interact at that time. That interaction is recorded and then it's played back at a future time. Whether or not a class is asynchronous, where you can log in at any time, or synchronous, where you have to log in at a specific time, is indicated in the schedule of classes. If you have to be on at a specific time, it'll actually have a day and time listed in the schedule of classes. If it simply says TBA, then that indicates that it's asynchronous and you can log in at any time. Thank you, Chancellor, for that. There's a question about being eligible for the CARES Act, even if you're not eligible for the FAFSA. And yes, many students are eligible for the CARES Act who are not eligible for FAFSA. FAFSA has some specific requirements, and for the CARES Act, we're able to provide that to more students. Essentially, any student that is impacted by the coronavirus and is experiencing any financial hardship, we want to figure out a way of providing support. The CARES Act is one important way, but we also have some other funding sources. And also as a reminder, for some students who might not be eligible for FAFSA, you might be eligible for the College Promise Fee Waiver. So you'll want to contact our financial aid office or just that help desk number, and we can help connect you to make sure you get an application in and receive all the support you might be eligible for. But many students at Valley College are eligible for free tuition, no enrollment fees, based on a variety of mechanisms. There's a question from Michelle about if there's no emergency, if it's not going to be through emergency grant money, how to access books, how to get books. I'm not sure about the question. If it's how to order books, our bookstore is accepting online book orders, and you can go to the LA Valley College website, bookstore website, and place your order. There's also staff who are in the bookstore that you can email or call, and they'll be happy to answer your questions. We currently don't have any in-person services through the bookstore, so you can't go to the bookstore, but they are processing online orders, and then they'll ship you your books. And there's no charge for shipping. The bookstore is shipping all textbooks at no cost. There's a question from Teresa about the finance office placing a memo stating CARES Act fund so the bank can recognize the deposit as separate from the annual FAFSA. And Teresa, I'll follow up on your question with the business office to get additional details on that. But by all means, email the help email address tomorrow morning with a specific question, and they can also follow up with you directly. Michelle asked a question, which is an excellent one, on the winter session this year. Chancellor, would you like to make some comments about the winter intersession?
Yes. Well, we will have one. That's the good news. And again, we will make we look at the winter and spring sort of together as an enrollment period, as I understand. So we'll be making the call on that very, very shortly. We will have courses, and courses that are robust, courses that meet the needs of students. You can continue your progress. The issue is the modality. How will they be delivered? And of course, health and safety are taking front and center stage here. So as we begin to get clearer direction or different direction from our county Department of Public Health, and they've been very clear about us not being able to return with the exception of those essential infrastructure courses. So we'll continue to monitor that. So if those safety guidelines and health monitoring, if you will, does not change, expect us to be online for winter session as well as the spring. But again, we're discussing that with our colleagues now to see what that could look like and what the ramifications of that are. So in the next several weeks, well before October, we'll have a final decision on that. But plan accordingly, plan for those courses, if you will, because we will be offering them. We're not going to curtail the offering of courses.
Thank you, Chancellor. There's also one last question related to the College Promise and eligibility. Please go to our homepage, the LA Valley College homepage, and there's a section on the college promise. All of the eligibility criteria are listed on that, on the Valley College Valley Promise website. With that, I just want to thank the Chancellor for joining us. Thank you all also for joining us this afternoon for the Town Hall. As always, if there's anything that we could do to help provide better support to you, please let us know. We are absolutely dedicated to doing whatever we can to help students, and especially during this pandemic. We know that it creates a lot of challenges, and we're going to do absolutely anything we can to ensure that you're supported and get what you need.